Daniel McCuller pointed out that in the recent film Coming to America, Wesley Snipes wears a beautiful kilt made from an African design fabric. Any idea how in the world this was made? Because it doesn't appear as though it would have been woven, and I would assume that this is in no way considered a tartan. Other people commented that they thought the design was awesome, and they're curious about the whole outfit as a whole. And one guy said he has black friends who love kilts, and they would probably kill for this because it's really super cool. So they're wanting us to analyze and dissect Wesley Snipes' kilt from Coming to America. I can give the background.
Yeah, please do.
So basically, all the costuming in the movie is fantastic. It was all done by Ruth E. Carter, who you may know. She did all the costuming for Black Panther, and she won an Academy Award for it. So it's super cool. The movie is fantastic, eye candy. The outfit is basically being worn by Wesley Snipes as General Izzi, who is the ruler of the neighboring country Nextdoria. Haha. And he's kind of the heavy in the film until the end. And this outfit appears in the final scenes of the movie, which are the wedding party after everybody's made up and things are good and it's a happy ending. So all through the film, he's got these crazy over-the-top military uniforms because he's kind of a caricature of the classic tin pot dictator kind of guys who just love to have military dress. So she went overboard and made his costumes all like crazy go-nuts, flashy military uniforms. But for the party, he opts to wear Highland Dress, and this is what they rendered it in. The cloth is Kente cloth. It's a traditional African fabric. It's most associated with the Asante or Ashanti tribe, who are mostly around the area of Ghana, and is a traditional art form there. It was originally done in cotton and indigo dyes, and then when Portuguese traders started showing up in like the 17th century, they started bringing in silks to try and trade with the native people, and guys would buy this and then pick the fabric apart to get the silk thread. And then they started incorporating a lot more color into their designs once they had that. And then they developed even further this art form. It's fascinating. I'll get into it in a little bit more in a minute here. Basically, it actually has some interesting parallels to tartan as a cultural thing, as a cultural object. But yes, so that's basically what the cloth is. And the kilt, as far as I could tell, is actually constructed as a traditional kilt.
Yeah, you actually see the pleats in it. You can actually see the straps and buckles on it. So, and it does appear, like a real kilt. I mean, it's non-traditional fabric, but construction-wise, it looks like a traditional kilt. Eric, any other thoughts on that?
Well, you had noted earlier that when we looked at the images that you could tell that this was a woven version of the cloth because you could see the underside, like in the shot when he's spinning or whatever, you could see the inside, which basically means it's woven, not a print. Kente cloth traditionally is a woven cloth, like I said. They produce it in these very, very narrow strips, which repeat the chosen pattern, those blocks. Basically, each of those is like a special coded pattern, which gets repeated through the strip. And then they stitch those long strips together to make a cloth that you can actually wear. The cloth is called kente, and the normal traditional garment that they would wear, which is kind of like a toga, is also called a kente. This is not like the cotton prints of kente fabric that you'll see. Like if you go to a fabric warehouse in Philly, they have a huge selection of kente style cloth, which is basically really popular with the black community. And it's become iconic for the black African diaspora, especially in America, but all over the world. It just symbolizes Mother Africa, basically. But they have the same problem we do in tartan, in that there's a lot of knockoffs. Real official kente cloth, each pattern has a separate meaning coded into it. A lot of them are designed to emblemize a proverb or a saying or a political statement. Like I ran across one which basically translated to, when you climb a good tree, you'll be given a push, is the translation of the statement. And basically meaning like if you're working for a good cause, people will support you. And those kinds of messages, each one of these blocks could have a different message like that in it. The colors have meaning too, which I find interesting because like tartan didn't get into doing that until the 20th century, but these guys were saying this color represents this, that color represents that, as far back as like the 17th, 18th century. So there's a whole language to this stuff. And again, kind of like tartan, where we have problems with knockoffs, like I was saying before, they have a problem in Ghana in that there are so many knockoffs of Kente cloth that there's less income coming into the country to the artisans of the legit art form. So I find that interesting too. It's like there's another parallel there to what we deal with in the tartan industry. And then the final bit of trivia, which I thought was fascinating, is that any actual Kente cloth design that gets invented and produced has to go before the royal house first. And if the king and his court decide they want it, it becomes theirs, and nobody else is allowed to wear it. If they reject it, and I think they're probably very generous and polite about rejecting it, right? But if they officially reject it, then it becomes something that the public can use and wear. You know, it's set free into the world, basically. And that there's a weird parallel there between clan tartans, for us, and a little bit of how some people think that there are tartans that are restricted to the royal family, like the Balmoral tartan. So it's kind of cool. Just all over the world, people are imbuing fabric with all this meaning and stuff. And it's really awesome.
The directly to his question, I think two of the points he asked were, effectively, is it a cotton, or is it is it a real kilt, and is it woven cloth? So yes, I believe it's woven cloth just because you can see the back side of it. If a cloth is printed, it's generally just printed on one side, and on the back side you get some of the bleed through of the pattern on the front side. It's not generally printed, to my knowledge, on both sides. Construction wise, yes, the kilt looks like it was constructed like a normal kilt. Horsehair sporn appears to be a traditional, normal Scottish horsehair sporn. The one thing that I will say is interesting is the fabric appears to be, the real deal type fabric. The kilt appeals to be a real deal type kilt, but as many things go with Hollywood, they take certain liberties, or they want to do things to make it, they twist it for their own purposes. Eric showed me these shots this morning because we were trying to figure out if he was wearing a piper's blade, and he showed me this, and I was like, it's not a piper's blade. It's like sewn into the seam of the vest. It's weird. So it's like a half sash piper blade hang down the back, not real. It's just a made up thing. That is straight up Hollywood. The kilt itself, construction wise, appears to be like the real deal kind of thing.
And in that shot, you could see it's got the hip strap. He's wearing a kilt belt with it. He's got the horsehair sporn. You can see the fake piper's blade hanging down the back. It's awesome. It's funny though, because we'll always say never wear a fly plate or a piper's plate with just a shirt or just a vest. And here we go. Madam Carter has basically said, "Oh yeah, I'll show you what you can do," and she made this up.
I'll show you two little YouTubelings.
Right. I kind of get it though, because if he had been in, the movie is built around dancing. The dance numbers are fantastic, and Wesley Snipes is an awesome guy, and he really just, for me, he stole the show. He's a hoot. I love the guy, but I could see where they wouldn't want to have him in a jacket because it'd be harder to move. You know what I mean? And the color pop from the shirt really works too. If like the cuff on the one cuff on the shirt actually is like embroidered or something. So they made the shirt an integral part of the outfit and lost the bulk of the jacket so that he could actually move as the character. Yeah. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's really balancing Hollywood cinema, and movement with I can't use the word tradition here, but my tongue won't let it come out. But yeah, it's finding the balance, exactly.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it's cool to have different cultures kind of intertwine in that way to a degree when it's done well. Like the kilt in a different cloth. I've seen way back when the company Calziet did some like Native American style blanket intarsia type weave and made them into kilts for the Dress to Kilt show up in New York, the Fashion Week kind of thing. And it's neat seeing kilts made out of different cloth. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's definitely taking it off on a tangent. It's not traditional, but it's just an interpretation from a fashion aspect. I appreciate it in that way. I don't love it. It's not something I would wear on a regular basis, but it's neat to see what people do with it.
Yeah, I have a Calcite, one of those old Calcite kilts. Remember, it's the Celtic knotwork one, not the blanket one. But yeah, it's cool, and it gives me a very primal warrior vibe when I wear it. So I really dig it for that. Definitely not traditional. Definitely modern spin on tradition. And that's what they're going for. I mean, the character General Izzi, he's all into being, muy macho kind of, generalissimo guy. So I can see why they chose a Highland military aesthetic for that outfit, because kilts and everything, they're associated with weddings because of pipers, so that makes sense. And the whole Highland soldier, Highland military officer kind of thing, it's like the elegant warrior aesthetic. So it totally suits what the character would want to present himself as, you know what I mean? The only part I didn't like about it is that the Kente cloth doesn't really lend itself well to looking great in the pleats. I think the effect was kind of getting lost in the pleats, and they look kind of weird and messy in the back because the block patterns are all over the place.
I think they had to do that to some degree because they're sewing together chunks. If they would have lined them up perfectly, I think you would have gotten the dreaded lawn chair effect, where it would just would have looked like wide, swaths of the same thing. So I'm guessing they staggered it to make it look at least a little different going across the back.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the video, guys. What is your favorite Hollywood movie that included a kilt? Let us know in the comments. To see other videos that we come out with on our channel, please remember to subscribe and ring the bell, and you'll get notifications every time we come out with a new video. Have a good day, guys.